You hurt? It's not too bad. Crowds are everywhere.
Hello, it's Nicola here, and I'm here with Calvin, who has been to that there London to play the brand new Call of Duty World War II.
Yes.
Yes, how was it, Calvin? I mean, what did you actually see there? I mean, was it the whole thing? Was it just the campaign, multiplayer? What did you see?
Now that's a good question to start with, because usually you get to these events and you play the single player campaign through from start to finish, and then they put you in a room with a bunch of other journalists and you play the multiplayer, the zombies and all that fruity business. But this time they stuck us straight on multiplayer. So I don't know what that says about the game, whether it's like the renewed confidence in the multiplayer, or if you're a cynic you could say that they're not so strong on the single player this time.
Okay.
But I think personally they wanted to show off the headquarters first and foremost.
Right. And what is that? What format does that take?
Right, so headquarters is essentially match lobbies 3.0.
Okay.
So you know we had the match lobbies where you'd be sat there with a group of friends in a party, then you're in a lobby and you can see the other people joining and you're just waiting for the game to start, right? So over the recent CODs, you've been able to look at your other soldiers while you're in the lobby, like see what they're wearing, see their profiles, that kind of stuff. Bit of a distraction, but there's not much to it. So now, headquarters is essentially a game within a game. So while you're in the lobby, you can walk around on the beachfront, you can go up to actual soldier NPCs to get your challenges, or to take a look at some guns, try them out in the gun lobby, in the gun range, or you can try out the score streaks and literally practice every score streak.
And is this all while you're waiting to matchmatch?
Yeah, so you're sitting there. This is your lobby. It's like a 3D lobby now. And you can see all the other players there. If someone's prestiging, there's like a big event about it. So you see them prestige, and they get a little gold icon above their head. So they've kind of added a dimension to the lobbies.
Right, okay. How does that work in principle, though? Because often you don't actually have to wait that long for a game.
Yeah, so you'll get the countdown timer, so whether it's 30 seconds or whatever, you'll see that in the corner. So while you're doing whatever you're doing, getting some new challenges ready for the next match, when there's 5 seconds left, you'll get the standard tick, 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 and then you're into the game. So just same as always, if you're creating a class or something and the game starts, whether you're ready or not.
Yeah.
But it's just a nice thing to be doing in between, because I hate sitting around, I hate waiting for anything, Nicola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like so what you're saying is that the lobby is actually something that you can interact with now, rather than it just being sort of sat there and flicking through your classes and making sure you've got a silencer on or whatever. Now it's kind of interactive. Is that?
Yeah, precisely.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's interesting.
I had a 1v1 with Michael Schofield, so there's actually like an area in there that you can have a 1v1 match. You get a random weapon assignment and you can just have a quick game against someone while you're waiting. Just adds another layer to it, I think.
Okay. And, I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a change of direction for Call of Duty. It's gone back to its roots. It's focusing in on World War II. How is the campaign? Because you say normally you would play the campaign and then the multiplayer, but it seems that they flipped that round this year. Does the campaign feel like a kind of also there, or is it strong enough to stand on its own?
So I think, it's definitely strong enough, but I think it's very, very different to any single player we've seen in a COD before. I think with the entire game, they've stripped it back, really. They've taken a look at what made COD successful, I'd say, in like COD 2 and COD 4 days before Modern Warfare 2. They've taken a look at what worked and tried to go back to that without losing all the kind of modern features that we know and love in COD today. So I think we've had feature creep over the years. We've had so much stuff added every single year. Now they've stripped a lot of that back and taken a look at how to do it more effectively. So with the single player, as it's based in World War II, it's more like short war stories. There's lots of war stories combined together rather than a big...
So you're not just following one character. Is it taking the kind of the Battlefield 1 from last year approach, where you're focusing in on different allied forces and what they were doing, or is it just following one particular team?
So it is one particular team, but usually, you have your protagonist and you've got your arch nemesis. It doesn't feel like that anymore. So you've got your squad with you, and it's not so much about you as a character, it's you as a squad.
Okay.
And your mates will help you, like they'll throw you health packs and ammo and that kind of thing. But you're all in this together, and it feels like you're in the war. And I think there will be a lot of comparisons, like you say, to Battlefield 1 from last year, because it's that somber tone. It's much more mature now. It used to be all about the Hollywood blockbuster, and now it's gone down a level to a serious single-player campaign, I think.
Well, I was going to ask about that because, of course, I mean, I don't really want you to compare it to Battlefield 1, but that was rightly lauded, really, for the sensitivity that it took towards the subject matter. And as you say, COD, over the years, has been known for a bit of bombast and a bit of, I guess, silliness, really, hasn't it? How is the tone in the campaign? I mean, I would hope that they're obviously respectful of the source material, but you know, what is the tone? What's the general feel for it?
Yeah, because I was quite nervous about that as well. Obviously, it's World War II. It's a very sensitive issue, and I think they've handled it very maturely. There's one quote in the credits that really stuck out to me, and that's, "This game is dedicated to the men and women who served and sacrificed in the service of their countries during World War II." And I think it feels like that. The game is dedicated to these people. Like, they've obviously sat down and talked to veterans and got real accounts and obviously dramatized them and fantasized them, but it is based on those stories. It's not kind of blown out of proportion. It feels very sensible. I thought they'd have gone, "America, F yeah!" You know, kind of, but it's really, really mature, and they've got, you're not just American, you've got all the Allied forces working together. It is about a horror story that took place 70 years ago, essentially. That's what it is.
Right, okay. And how does that then fit in with what you're doing in multiplayer? Because I've always found this little bit of a disconnect between trying to tell a serious story about something that actually happened, and, you know, tell that in a somber and a respectful way, and then next minute you're running around dual wielding SMGs or whatever in a multiplayer. How does that kind of dovetail together?
No, fair point. So obviously there's not as much story in the multiplayer, but it is also stripped back compared to other CODs. So there's very restricted amount of weapons, weapon abilities. Perks are gone completely. They've got a new thing now.
Well, you've now got the units, haven't you? Like the airborne, the infantry units and stuff, which have their own particular perks. Yeah,
those divisions are kind of like classes.
That's it, yeah.
And then you've got basic training badges that go with the classes that have almost like a package of perks with them. But the way they've done it suits those divisions in a way that would be relevant to them. So it's not over the top. It actually makes sense what you're using.
Okay.
And they have got some crazy stuff, like they've got an incendiary shotgun, which I think is going to be amazing. But the fans are going to either love it or hate it, much like the noob tube, the original Modern Warfare's. But they've kept a balance in the multiplayer with that. So, for example, you only get 4 incendiary shotgun rounds, and then you're back to normal shotgun rounds. So there are things in multiplayer to excite you a bit, but they've kept it reasonable.
And I guess it's still the sort of same fast-paced on smallish maps, because, you know, the maps over the years have got smaller as well, haven't they, in Call of Duty multiplayer? Is that the case again? We're looking at small to medium maps, or is there large maps now?
So mainly they're small to medium maps with the lanes, the 3 lanes that we're used to. That's all the same, but I do feel like the combat pace has slowed down. And I think that's probably because there's no exosuits, there's no triple jumping, anything crazy like that. It's all boots on the ground, and that makes it feel the combat slowed down without affecting the time to kill.
Okay. And so there's also zombies in this. I mean, I'm not a huge zombies fan personally, but I know that it is, you know, one of the more one of the more popular modes within a Call of Duty package. How is this particular version?
Again, I think this is one that's going to excite fans, because what they've done is they looked at all the craziness that we had in previous zombies, like fluorescent 1980s whatnot, and taken that all away and gone back to what zombies originally was, Nazi zombies. So it's much darker, it's creepier, it's in line with the actual game that you're playing. You know, it's just you with a basic World War II weapon and a bunch of zombies, and you're working your way through this. I think it's more of an RPG mode, because you've got your damage, you've got your crowd control, you've got your healer, and you've got your tank, and you're just working together as a team to work through this story and find their Easter eggs, which you don't need all the extra stuff on top. And I think that's where this COD is going to shine throughout all the modes we talked about, single player, multiplayer and zombies, is that it's stripped back to basics in a way that just works as a shooter without all the extra fuss that we've got used to.
Okay, so it sounds like it's going to impress a few people. Is that your takeaway from the event that you were at?
I really think it will. I think people that have maybe been COD fans originally and then slipped away over the last few years, I think they'll be brought back by this COD. This is taking it back to where it should have been, or where it was successful. And we'll see what happens with it. I think things like headquarters will change the way FPSs work in the future. I think all CODs will have some kind of lobby system where you're not sat around watching a screen anymore. Things like that will happen, and we don't need to be jumping around in space. We can be boots on the ground, just get some proper FPS gameplay in.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that, Calvin, and I'll look forward to playing it. It's out.
Well, it depends when this goes live, but it's probably out right now, so grab it, try it, and let us know what you think.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicola.